Well, don't check the prices. Things are changing, have changed a lot. 20 years there was an open drug scene.
Really? In
Yes.
Switzerland?
Downtown.
You get a little taste of LA here with the freeway system.
Yeah, exactly.
All of the old money of the city living up here?
This is area now, more working class.
What are guys like this making in Switzerland?
Wow.
That's, what, 4 feet of Swiss chocolate? Gotta love that.
That's the first time I see the government wants to do something which the whole population said no.
This is about as rough as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, who does a parking garage like this?
If you have a loan for your house, you don't have to pay it back during your life.
You know what's interesting about Switzerland is you have this stuff, and literally a couple miles that way, you have a farmer with his cows. That's the beauty. Good morning, guys. Here we are in beautiful Switzerland. And last week's video was about the French-speaking side of the country. This week's video is about the German-speaking side. We're gonna be in the greater Zurich area today. A man reached out to me, a local Swiss man, and said, Peter, everyone thinks of predictability and stability when they think of Switzerland, but there are some things changing, and I'd like to show you. So today we're gonna go on a little adventure with a local who understands the culture very well and is gonna teach us about what is currently going on in Switzerland. Let's do this. So this is outskirts of Zurich, huh?
This is industrial zone already a bit. Been factories as well from the early days. Production of clothes.
So how do you speak English so well? You almost have like an Aussie accent or South African accent.
TV and friends.
Really? You never lived abroad?
No.
Swiss born, Swiss made.
No.
You love it.
I love my country, definitely. It is beautiful. We do have more freedom than in other places still, I believe so. Or I feel that way.
In Europe or the whole world, you're thinking?
In Europe, things are changing, have changed a lot during the last 5 years. So it's
In
difficult.
Switzerland?
As well in Switzerland. We do have the impact, and that is, in my opinion, the biggest problem of Switzerland. It's a small country in terms of space we have.
And this is probably the worst looking building I've seen in the whole country, right there.
That's possible.
That's about as bad as it gets, right?
I can show you a worse one in Zurich.
Okay.
We might go there actually
Okay.
when we see the Needle Park, or the ex-Needle Park.
Ex-Needle Park.
Yeah.
So you used to have an open air drug market.
It was a huge area, 20 years there was an open drug scene. Everybody saw that. It is 2 minutes or 5 minutes walking distance to the luxury street where all the luxury shops
Really?
still are.
In
Yes.
Switzerland?
Downtown.
Okay, that's something I would never think would
That was-
exist here. Was it heroin or what was it?
It was mainly heroin, also other drugs, coke, I believe. And it was crazy. I remember as a kid when we drove through town, had to go to the motorway to hit other parts of Switzerland. You just seen the people there hanging and being completely gone. And that was weird.
Have you been given the gift of fentanyl yet, or?
Not yet, but
Okay.
did read some articles lately. It starts slowly coming here as well. I don't know if it is expensive or not, but it looks like it is not expensive.
It's dirt cheap in Arizona right now. It's about $2 a pill. It's
Right.
called a fentanyl blue, which is less than a bottle of water at the mini mart.
Wow,
Yeah, it's wild.
that is raw.
Okay, so we're gonna go into this part of the city where that existed, but I'm not gonna ask now, but you can explain how it got cleaned up, because that's interesting. Maybe something we can learn from as Americans. And another point of these videos, these Swiss videos I'm doing, is as an outsider and as someone that lived in Switzerland, I lived a winter in Switzerland in 2002 in Verbier.
Right.
So I have a bit of a history with the country. I feel Switzerland is one of those countries everyone can learn something from. It's not a perfect place. There's pros and cons. But as far as having it together, it's better off than most, I would say.
I do agree, absolutely on that.
I would love to get into some of that today too. Like we can show the changes. Actually, we'll show whatever you want. Mike, this is your video.
You can see here as well,
Yeah.
all the buildings being built. That's not been here a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That shows how it grows, and people want to be close to town, Zurich, for work. They don't want to have cars anymore. be able to walk or go by bike or
Yeah.
bus. But here we are downtown almost already.
You get a little taste of LA here with the freeway system.
Exactly. I always thought that as well. As a kid, I loved it because it is different for Switzerland.
Have you been to the US?
Yes, I've been to Florida and California, which I both loved. I love the boats, the whole water thing in Florida. And I've been to Hooters with my dad. That was quite interesting as a kid in a certain age.
That was one of your first American cultural experiences? Hooters?
Probably yes.
Okay, how old were you with Pops?
I think I was 16.
Okay.
So-
Awkward? A little bit awkward? Or?
No, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I think it was interesting to see. But one of the memories I had as well, I had a broken leg, or just had an operation actually before we hit there, and it was on, how you say,
The crutches?
crutches exactly. And it doesn't matter where I was going, shopping center, whatever. And there was great service in terms of within seconds, somebody came with a wheelchair and been helping. And that was very special to me because we didn't had that here at the time. And all the size of everything, of course. I remember as well, we went to a car dealer, a used car dealer. My dad gave him some money and we used to drive every day a different car through Florida. That was awesome. I just loved it. Highways, the distances. The American way of life, which was big here in some way. I mean, we've been quite influenced through the movies or games as well, computer games at some point.
Okay.
It was cool. The American way of life was for us as kids here something really cool.
How about now? Is it still looked at the same way or not really?
It changed a bit. Still there is free country and you can go there, start as a dishwasher maybe and become a millionaire. I believe that has changed as well. Like the whole world has changed. But for us, growing up my generation, America was a free thing where you can develop and have ideas and
Yeah.
open a business basically. That's the Jewish part of Zurich. It's just snow and you see quite often Orthodox Jewish people walk around here.
Okay.
Which is a normal thing. It was always like that and that's exactly something which I love about Switzerland or Zurich in particular. Doesn't matter what you are, you can live here.
It's pretty mixed up.
Absolutely. It's very international as well. You have people from all over the world and especially my days growing up here, and I lived quite many years in Zurich and around Zurich. It doesn't matter what you are. You can be part of that. Of the town.
Okay.
Now we have the sports guys, the music guys, be it a religious thing. We have mosques in Zurich. We have the Jewish churches. It doesn't matter what. It was a way of living everybody together. That is changing now as well, a bit as well.
That's
Slowly.
changing? How so?
Yeah, well, as I said, people feel like we are too small. There's too many people here. It's not because they hate other people. That's not the point. It gets overcrowded, and the problem is not enough apartments. Streets are too small. Traffic is jammed up all the time. And kindergarten places. There's problems with hospitals. Not enough space for people. Well, family moving away from town, more or less. Many do.
Rent prices have gone up?
Absolutely, a lot.
I mean, who does a parking garage like this? The detail of the three from the floor into the door.
It looks cool.
It looks so cool.
If you would not say it, I would not see it because it's just normal.
I mean, nobody
For
does a
Zurich.
parking garage like the Swiss.
Now we're really downtown Zurich. I've been swimming quite often actually. I'm jumping from the bridge, you can see there.
Oh, it's that clean you can swim in here?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Would this be the New York of Switzerland? Obviously, it's nothing like it, but would it be the financial capital
Yes.
part of Switzerland?
I'd say so.
Okay, what would Geneva be?
Diplomatic capital.
So that's the DC?
Yeah, you could say so, in my opinion.
And look how clean your streets are. I mean, it's what it's known for.
Absolutely. That's what Swiss people want, or people living in Switzerland, not just the Swiss. Everybody lives here. We want to keep it that way, clean and open and diplomatic and independent. Many people coming to the country, and I don't want to say that's bad people, not at all, but it gets full.
Okay.
And you have different cultures which are not maybe used to the way of life of Switzerland. And they'll have to adapt or integrate if they want to. And
Okay, so is that a tense topic in the country.
Absolutely.
Like, you feel good about people coming here, but adapting and integrating into the ways that have been established here. But if someone comes and they don't, then there's friction in that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I mean,
Okay.
Swiss people know the way Switzerland is, clean, everything is on time, and everything works well.
Yeah.
We want to keep it that way.
Yeah. So is there a problem right now with people not adapting or assimilating into the culture?
Well, yes, I say slowly yes.
Okay.
But,
okay.
you know, it's not about put these people in a bad spot. If you're not used to that, how do you want to know? You need to get to know the lifestyle of Switzerland. And
Well, I feel like if you move to someone else's country, and I've done it 4 times. I've lived in Switzerland, short stint. I lived in Spain for a short stint, Thailand for a short stint, and Ukraine for 4 years. I'm sure some people will call me out that saw me in these countries, but I feel like you're our guest. It's like you're going into someone's home. And how do you come in? Do you take your shoes off? Do you thank them for inviting you over? Do you maybe even bring something? You offer something, you add something? Or do you walk in with muddy boots and start demanding what you want?
Yeah.
And so there's just a different way of looking at it, right? And I think universally it's a very human thing to be cool with anyone that's respectful of your place and what exists there and what you offer. And that usually works really well. I've seen it all over the world. But yeah, that friction comes when the muddy boots come in the door and they don't care about the place they're coming to. And of course, you want to preserve, you want to keep this, obviously. Like, this is something very special.
And it works
And I
very
totally
well
get it.
so far. I mean, over many, many years, we have people coming from all kinds of countries into
Right.
Switzerland. And it worked fantastically, the integration within the Swiss culture.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, so it's a really hard topic because if you talk about it, you get called xenophobic or racist right off the bat, right? Typically, and that's why people shy away from it. But I think it is a discussion worth having because we do see a lot of migration all over the world, all over the Western world. I've been noticing a lot because I travel a lot, especially in America right now. And America's always been such a great melting pot. And everyone, to me, it was always like all the animals from the zoo in one cage, and they sort of get along pretty well. It's a really cool experiment. It's not normal in human history. Like, humans work as tribes traditionally, and they stay with their tribes, and anything that looks different is a threat to that tribe. But America started off an idea, invited all the people there. Yeah, it's got a bad history too. We all know that. But I would say modern day 2024 America, if someone comes to the country, no matter what their background, and if they're cool and respectful, they're going to be treated really well in the country.
It's similar here, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome. And, you know, come here and you want to have a good life, fine, but you need to work, some rules. As you say, when I'm going to another country, I do know where I'm going. And I want to respect their culture. I want to get to know their culture. But that's a normal thing for me. For many Swiss as well, is respect somehow. We want to have people as well coming here, adapting somehow to our culture. Not telling them you can't have their religion or you can't have that. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Work, have a good life. You know, Peter, doesn't matter where I've been on the planet.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
thing I found everywhere,
Yeah.
that's families wanting to have a normal life.
Yeah.
Raise your kids, have a job, pay your bills,
Yeah.
and have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's a global thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think with these problems, we need to talk more about why are people leaving their countries and trying to find a better life, which is understandable.
Oh,
People
yeah,
want to have a
yeah.
better life. And what I'm missing globally as well is that we grab the problem by its root. And it's not the solution of having millions of people going to other countries, and we need to solve the problems where they are. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have the feeling, you know, money is going in the wrong direction. Look at the wars going on again on this planet. With that money, you could do so many other good things. And there are people and organizations doing that as well.
Yeah, that's a big topic, like fixing the world so people don't want to move. I mean, the story of time is the story of immigration, right? And so there'll always be a place that's better off and one that's not. And if you're ambitious, you're going to go for the one that's better off, usually, because you want a better life, right?
Exactly.
So my family did it, 3 generations ago? Left Italy because things were so bad at the age of 18, 19, got on a boat, not a word of English, and came over to the US and ate for a long time, basically. They were looked down upon, I'm sure. There's a lot of beef between the Irish. But there was no free lunch. There was no handouts. There was no like, hey, American taxpayer, I'm coming to your country. You better pay my way. That didn't exist back then.
Well, I believe many people in many countries around the planet, if people coming to a country being treated better than your own people, that is of course a problem. And I do understand that people have a problem with that as well. You know, in Switzerland, not everybody's rich either. You do have the middle class, you do have the lower class. And
we got to get into that today because we drive around, I show you a parking garage that looked like it was just freshly polished and painted and everything, right?
Probably is.
It probably was. They're like polishing all night. And you walk around this and the viewer, and actually myself, is like, yeah, this place is loaded. Everyone is just crushing it. But we're going to get into that today. You're going to show me some of this middle-class reality?
Absolutely.
So, growing up in Switzerland, when you get out in the world, do you just look at everything as, well, it's not as nice as Switzerland?
Well, I always love to come back home.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so you guys have never had an issue with safety in Switzerland, really, overall. Of course, things happen, but...
It's not as much as you would say or expected from other countries. Police is quite good in Switzerland. All this safety is quite high.
They're pretty well respected, would you say, or it depends who you're talking to?
No, they are. It's the way you talk to other people.
Yeah.
And again, there you can see as well maybe the Swiss mentality a bit. How do you talk to others? That can help also in these situations. I mean, here as well, there are problems. Maybe a burglary or something happens in here as well, but it's an own police that the Swiss train network does have.
Okay, so that board is pretty much all destinations in the country.
Exactly.
Right?
And we have connection with Paris and German trains as well, although these days there's a bit of a problem with German trains or Swiss trains going into Germany. German rail is not as what it used to be. So,
really?
So the interconnection going from a Swiss train being on time, they go into Germany, they have a problem because they can't keep up being on time, so it's chaos.
The Germans aren't on time these days?
It changes a bit.
Oh, man.
And that's what people see a bit and makes them think, oh, we better not let it come to that point.
Okay, so I bet you guys see what's going on around you in different countries in Europe and are like, let's not get to that point.
Absolutely.
Is that what that is?
Absolutely. I mean, we're part of it. We are not politically within Europe, somehow not in the European community. But we are based in the heart of Europe, so we can't and don't want to close us.
Yeah, but most of your lawmaking comes out of Bern, not Brussels.
Absolutely. We have our own system, our own laws. Although now it is big talks about implementing some of Swiss law into European law. Of course, some are for that, some are against that. Basically saying some European courts might be over our court.
Centralized European power having control over your domestic court.
If there is a problem, I don't know, companies economically or whatever, they can rule out and we would have to accept what these European courts would rule out, and we can't do anything against that.
Okay, so we want to go right there, but the Swiss thing is go way up to that crosswalk and come back.
Absolutely. I mean, it is their fault, so why should you not use it?
I would say if there was nobody coming either way, I would go over here. But you're saying here, you're not going to do that. You're going to go up to the crosswalk.
Of course, some people do it, but no, I mean, it is their fault. It's chaotic traffic and all that. But so everything works.
Because of that. Yeah. Look, the older I get, Michael, this order stuff becomes more attractive. Like if I was, like actually when I lived here, when I was in my younger 20s, I was like, this place is too restricted and too tight for me.
Well, same for me.
Too many rules. Now coming up on mid-40s with, let's just say all the instability in the world, it sort of feels nice.
I completely agree.
There's no right or wrong way. Switzerland is the way it is because of its habits, let's say, right?
Yes.
But if I want a festive, fun time, I'm not coming here. As far as like a spontaneous beach vibe with anything sort of goes.
There's also places like that, definitely, especially mountains as well, or as well around the lake is more wild and more free.
Okay, but it wouldn't be the number one country you'd think of when you think of those things.
Swiss are maybe not known to be the most fun people and spontaneous, all that.
Can you hold that?
You can't say everybody is the same, all Swiss are the same, or all Americans are the same. That doesn't work like that, but we're not famous for that.
Actually, Europe does a good job of saying America is like this, creating an easy label. Not all Europeans, obviously, but I'd say the European media loves to shat all over the US. You notice that ever? They never show anything really great about the country. They show, and to be fair, a lot of the bad stuff gets exported.
Yeah, well, that's
like
news,
you're getting
you know.
Popeyes and McDonald's and, you know, shitty political debates and stuff like that. You're not getting like what's cool about America over here, I would say.
Not only that, no, it's not completely true, I'd say. Of course, it's very political at the moment because the whole world is. But as well, seeing it's a beautiful country. You have everything. You have the sea, you have the mountains, you have everything. Doesn't matter what you want to do. You can do it in terms of nature. And you have space. That's one thing we don't have. We don't have space.
Yeah, there's elbow room.
I mean, imagine I want to have a farm, you know, and then having space to ride, I don't know, my bike there, or I don't know,
Your dirt bike?
hunting on your ground. It's just not possible here.
Okay, what's going on here, Michael? What are you showing?
That's the so-called ex-needle park. There was, for 20 years, an open drug scene here. Most heroin and stuff like that. And it was full of these, I'd say, poor people, you know. I mean, nobody just does that for fun. It is an addiction.
So for 20 years that was going on out here legally,
Yeah.
then what happened?
Well, they tried to change that. I mean, it got bigger and bigger, and crime as well got bigger. Of course, these people need to organize the money to finance their drug buying. And end of the day, after 20 years, the town said we have to change that.
Okay.
We have to clear it up, also for different reasons. Tourism, of course, also one of the reasons. But it's just not okay, but nobody knew how to handle that.
Okay, give us some tips, because we need this advice right now in the US.
Well, the beginning was they pushed them to another part of the town, a bit further down here. Then they stayed
Okay.
there. They've been a bit more away from the center town. But what happened then? A lot of control in terms of hygiene. They gave out needles, clean ones, safe spaces to do their drug, consume their drugs. They even at some point handed out clean drugs to these people. So it was on a medical basis to have a change, on a hygienic, but as well on a social one, to help these people get out of that misery.
Okay, so I just want to unpack this as much as I can, because I was just in Kensington like a month ago, and that's a total disaster.
That's
so
heartbreaking.
I look at harm reduction, and of course the name is a bit interesting, but let's just call it harm reduction. Giving out needles to prevent the spread of HIV, to make it safer to use, let's say, right?
Or
Hepatitis, AIDS, that sort of thing. But you're enabling someone to continue on with something that's destroying them. So there's an ideological difference between those that say, hey, like you're actually telling them consciously and subconsciously it's okay to continue using, when in reality, the best thing for you would be off of it. And that's the hard part, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, trying is not just that, what I just told you about. It's also social workers help these people to get
Yeah.
out of the scene and trying to give them back a normal life.
Yeah.
Because I believe many of these people, as long as they still realize how their life looks, then in the meantime, I don't know if all of them want to have that lifestyle, and I don't believe so.
Yeah, and nobody's getting into that because things are so great in life, I'm going to start using fentanyl every day.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a sad thing, and so
The
the US needs to do something at a state and national level, because the problem's getting really bad in all of our cities right now, and even in the countryside. And so there has to be certain rehab and carrots and sticks where you can't just, you know, die out here on the streets because they keep giving you drugs and needles. I don't think that's a solution, but if it's in an environment where there's rehab and whatever other services, maybe that is the way. I don't know.
Well, it worked here, for sure.
It worked, okay.
It worked, it is
Okay.
gone. And then also the other place, they shifted these people over there and they stayed them there and got even bigger. It's also behind here, we don't have to walk there. But no, it was a whole program. And it's not just saying it's forbidden, go away from here, you're not welcome here. No, it doesn't resolve the problem. Of course, you have to try and cut off as well suppliers, drug dealers. Well, that's where they got the drugs from. Then they've been shifting to synthetic heroin.
Yeah.
That happened at some point as well.
Yeah.
And but with the program around it, to give these people as well, again, a future,
Yeah.
will help you to have a normal life again. But also thinking, why do people get in that situation? You know, that here has not been just people from Zurich,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
whole Europe coming
Yeah.
here. But you lose your job, you have a divorce or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is a social
You
problem.
need
brings
escape.
You to that. Help them escape. Show them there is a future again. For
Yeah,
you.
I agree.
Of course, that's, you know, it's
there's
money
a,
intense. It's not for free, and people, you need to find people that are willing to do these jobs as well. It's
but
not easy.
I think if the structure was set up well enough, I think a lot of people would do that work. I mean, if the pay is good enough, you can live off of it. And as far as a nation, and I know this is a video about Switzerland, I'm talking about the US a lot, but as far as a nation, like, if you don't take care of that problem, your nation is gonna suck down the road. So like, it might cost a lot, but you don't really have an option if you wanna have a nice country to live in.
Well, I say it that way. Well, what happened here with the needle park? Many countries around us overtook that solution system, whatever you want to call it, and did the same thing and tried to resolve their drug problems as well. It worked. So it was kind of pioneer work that Zurich town did here and showed others it is doable.
If it was successful here, like you're saying, then learn from someone that did it right. You don't reinvent the wheel, right?
And imagine being a politician, you have a budget at your proposal or at your hands, and you can distribute that budget the way you want to do it. Of course, different people have different opinions.
Yeah.
But there are ways to do it. You just have
to want to do it.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the way things work, there's no money to be made in it, really. Maybe a little, I don't know. But the money and interest from politicians goes where the money and interest is, right?
I mean, in Switzerland as well, there's been many talks over the years of banks being almost going bankrupt and being bailed out by the state, which worked at the end of the day, and then the state got the money back from these banks. It's not the point. But others said, you know, we do have a middle class or even a down lower class of people which are struggling with paying for food, rent. I mean, we're seeing the beautiful part now. But Switzerland is so expensive that it gets worse and worse. Lots of people are struggling. Of course, you don't see them here. It's downtown Zurich. Yeah, that's why it's clean, because there are many people working for the town and cleaning. You know, people, staff working in the hotels, cleaning toilets and all these things. Who wants to do these jobs? But somebody will have to do that job as well. But be assured, they're not living downtown Zurich.
Ciao.
Just
okay, so
let's go and grab a bottle of water. No, maybe that's the thing. He says he doesn't want to have it on video, so we respect that.
Of course, yeah. So there was a guy promoting religion, basically. That was doing, right?
It's,
Okay. Are you Jehovah's Witnesses, which I don't know much about, to be honest. I think it's a very conservative form of Christianity, from my understanding. But
to
I
be
don't
honest, I can't tell you much about it.
Are you a religious guy?
No. Well,
No.
I do believe in higher power somehow, or there is something above us, but
We're not going to church this Sunday?
no.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
not.
rather go and pick mushrooms with my kids in the forest.
Same. I respect all beliefs, though. I really do. And I've become better at that as I've met more people in this journey. I respect religion a lot more, and I can see how it's a great framework for many people.
It
can be used in a negative way, but it can be used in a very positive way, too. Okay, so this is your average supermarket, would you say?
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, don't check the prices.
Okay, show me the prices. That's not too crazy. $2.50? Yeah, let's look at some of the prices of things.
Swiss, typical Swiss thing, racket, you know, biological. How you say in English again?
Natural, organic.
Organic, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's now 11 francs for, what's that, 400 grams of cheese?
Okay. Well, you know, if I'm comparing to the US, it's like, yeah, that's about what it is these days. Things went up a lot in the US.
That's exactly, it surprises me a lot when I'm going to other countries at the moment. I always think, and Switzerland is very expensive food-wise.
Yeah.
But how other countries who do not have the people the same income level as Swiss people have similar prices in terms of food, it is absolutely shocking.
Yeah, like if you're making $20 an hour right now, I don't know how people are doing it. I'm not talking like the younger 20-something living at home, but like you're an adult, you know, you're in your 30s or 40s making 20 an hour, and maybe you have kids. It's brutal.
Exactly.
It's really rough.
But one thing with the kids as well, they grow, so you know they can't keep their trousers.
They need
for
more
10
raclette.
years or
So what do your eggs cost here?
Eggs,
How much?
here we go. Eggs. What's the price of an
This
egg?
is
This is exactly again biological.
okay. These are $5.30.
Yeah, for 6 eggs.
So what's that in dollars? $6.50.
yeah, maybe.
You're looking at $13 for 12 eggs for a dozen. That's pretty spendy. That's really spendy. Like our good eggs, if we're going to compare to our good eggs, that would be $8 for a dozen.
Well, it's very high as well.
Very high. You can
Compared-
get cheaper eggs though, for sure.
compared again to the
Yeah.
level of income.
Yeah. And for the chocolate lovers, you take it quite seriously.
Oh yes,
I'm not gonna lie, you definitely
I mean,
win the gold medal on the
isn't
chocolate
it something
front.
that Switzerland is known for?
That's what, 4 feet of Swiss chocolate? I mean, what do you gravitate towards, Michael? What do you like?
Milk chocolate. Take for example Toblerone, very famous for Switzerland.
Which one?
This one here.
Oh, Toblerone. Do you know why it's shaped like that?
Well, that's a big story. It's about a mountain, basically.
I heard something different yesterday.
And that's the thing. So many stories about that going.
These are
around.
the barricades used to stop tanks coming
Tank.
in from Germany in World War II. That was the way you guys set up your fortifications. And I saw those barricades yesterday that looked just like that.
That might be true because they look exactly like that. But I wanted to say something else about that.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's a Swiss thing. It's not.
Oh,
The
no.
factory is not anymore in Switzerland.
Oh, you're killing
So
me.
it is not a Swiss product anymore.
Who's
And,
making it?
It's Mondial. It's a French company doing it these days. I don't know where the factory is. I believe in Austria, but I'm not quite sure. Or in France. But it's such a Swiss thing. It was a Swiss thing, Toblerone.
Yeah,
I mean,
is
look at-
there, I mean, isn't that going to go into your direct democracy and you're going to vote on that? The company needs to come back to the homeland?
Absolutely. But you see, there's the mountain on it.
Established in.
So I'm not buying that anymore. Saying that way, I love the chocolate, but why do they do that?
They're making more money.
People work in a factory in Switzerland and to sell that product in Switzerland for the price they need to have that. It's not possible anymore.
Okay, what about the Lindt? Please tell me this is Swiss, right?
This is Swiss, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you what it is. It's done in Switzerland. I cannot tell you. Well, we could.
It's
We must be on it. What it is manufactured.
usually these days, if it's made in a country you want it to be made in, like Switzerland, it will say it all over, right? They want to show off that.
Imported by Lemon Sprüngli. It's an import product.
Import products.
But again, here we have interesting part. That product can be different in Germany than in Switzerland because we have different laws in terms of what's allowed to be in there.
yes.
Maybe they're importing another Lindor bowl from another country to be able to sell it cheaper here.
Okay, so Lindt in the United States is not nearly as good as it is here.
I can't tell you if it's the case,
I
but
can
it's
tell
possible.
You. Yeah.
I
No,
know as
it-
a fact that many foods that are sold in the States and in Europe or in Switzerland, Fanta, for example, we have a different color of Fanta
Yeah.
because it needs to be natural, real orange in it. So,
You're not using the food colorings.
exactly. There are drinks with that, but for example, Fanta does not do it.
Yeah, I think your FDA is a little bit better, whatever it's called here, than what we have. I mean, there's all sorts of chemicals in a lot of our foods and colorings and BS. And
You know,
That's
in
not
Europe,
gonna fly
many
over
people
here.
say, why are Americans, so many of them are a bit bigger? And it has to do with food, with the culture of food. But I'm not saying it's their fault because, first of all, it's budget. What is your budget to buy food?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's restricted by that.
I mean, to be fair, you could buy all beans and eat beans that are cheap, but that's tough, right? You could eat beans all day long.
Absolutely. We have different
But I
problems then.
Different problems. But I eat chocolate. I love chocolate. But you're right. So what's snuck in the ingredients? And I'm not saying all of Europe. There is this misconception, and I don't know about Switzerland, but I'll speak for Italy. Everyone thinks that grandma is growing every vegetable in her garden with no pesticides. It's not the truth.
No,
You
not
go
at
to
all.
those grocery stores in Italy or many places, it's just mass-produced food, and they're getting it from Turkey or wherever.
But again, we come back to the story, how many people can you feed in the country? How much food can you make your own country? How much do you need to import, which is maybe not on the same level of quality as you want to have it? And all these things keep on changing. Again, in Switzerland, we don't have that much land. So
you have to import a lot.
Exactly. I always go and pay where people are working because I want these people to keep their jobs. Of course, I see the point of having maybe one person checking 10 cashier machines. But at the end of the day, they're replacing human beings, and this will not end well. So I'm going here to pay, even if I have to wait longer.
You can hold that. There you go. Cameraman Michael.
Yeah.
We have the Swiss. We don't know. Is it the Swiss chocolate? Swiss brand, but where is it made? Let me tell you how it tastes. Gotta love that. Soft in the middle. A nougat? Is that what you call it?
Probably, yeah.
Nougat filling.
Nice.
Velvety smooth.
Well said.
All right, see you, Michael. I'm just gonna chill.
Well, have a good one.
Yeah.
Catch you later, mate.
You want some?
That's a big chunk. Tastes like home. It's a very famous coffee shop.
Okay, so this is a nightlife zone, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very nice place here, actually. It's a bit hidden. You go in here and then you find about 20 snooker tables hidden somewhere in there. But it's mixed. You have fitness studios here, shops, bars. This place is actually the Bellevue, because we have a view over the lake afterwards. But here we have the Odeon, especially the cafe behind. And Zurich was always very, very open to gay community, be it gays or lesbians. Nobody cares or cared ever here. It was just a normal part of our society. You know, we've been at the point where exactly nobody cares anymore about that.
Right, right.
And now, through some stuff which is going on, people getting a bit more, you could say, scared or skeptical again in a negative way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's again stuff in media, and I don't want to judge all these things, but I just want to say Zurich was always a very liberal town.
Okay.
That's what in that way.
Yeah, I feel like in our generation, you're Gen X. You're what, 44?
46 now.
40. Okay, so I'm 46, same age. Those issues were behind us.
Yeah.
Like when we grew up, like you had your gay friend, you had your black friend, nobody cared.
No.
It wasn't an issue. It wasn't a thing. And then it's like been brought back into the forefront as this big contentious issue.
Exactly. I feel like it is an issue again somehow.
Right, right.
But we've been at the point where nobody cared.
Right. And I don't care what your sexuality is.
No. Why?
And we don't need to like make a thing out of it. Nobody cares.
What do I care about what other people do in their bedroom? I don't care at all.
And now it just feels like it's to some degree artificially pushed so hard. And a lot of the gay people are like, stop it, like, stop drawing all this attention. We just want to live our lives. And
I mean, the gay people I know, they don't feel comfortable with the situation nowadays, or less comfortable than with the situation 5 or 10 years ago.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like made it worse.
Yeah. What for, end of the day? You know, exactly. We have accepted that here. It was just normal.
Right. So our parents' generation, that was a contentious issue, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And some of that generation paved the way for our generation.
Yeah. A bit loud here.
Okay, what are guys like this making in Switzerland? They're working for the city.
I have no idea.
Can you ask them?
Ich mache ein Video mit einem Typ über die Schweiz. So Vergleich, was verdient ein Arbeiter der hier ungefähr mit so einem Job in der Schweiz? 5, 6, 4? 9. Wie viel? 9. Hä? Hä? Das muss ich auch machen.
Wow. He said he's touching about 9,000 Swiss francs a month.
Really?
Which I'm surprised, which is not little money though.
Yeah, that's over 100K a year.
Let's go over here then, Peter. Yeah.
So you can live a good life.
I know that's the point again. Depends. If he's alone, he'll have a good life. If he has a wife who's taking care of kids because they choose that way of life, and have 2 kids, you don't have a good life with 9 grand in Switzerland.
9 grand a month, you don't have a good life here?
With 2 kids and a wife that's taking care, a bit more
Yeah.
conservative or old school way of life, no, you don't making big
So
moves.
if his wife is working, if he's married, then-
If they both work
Yeah.
full time, they're having a good life, definitely, yes.
and your health care, which I learned yesterday, is not paid for by the state. You guys pay
Oh,
for
yes,
it.
we pay it.
And it's not cheap.
No, it's gone up. It goes up between 5 and 10% a year at the moment.
5 and 10 a year?
Over there.
Brutal.
Yes.
Jeez.
Here, by the way, is the Opera of Zurich.
Okay, what's a price for health insurance then?
Depends, you know, you have different levels. If you want to be in a room with 10 other people or in a room with 4 other people or want to have a room on your own. That changes
I
a
like
lot.
30 personally. 30 people.
Well, I'd say for family, mom, dad, 2 kids, it's easy, 1,200, 1,300 a month.
Okay.
But there's big disputes. What shall they pay? For example, there's this thing for people with lots of weight they can take. I don't want to name the product. For example, some health insurance companies do pay that here.
Okay.
But other things they won't maybe pay. So people are not okay with that. Others might spend money to go and do sports or live healthy and all that. Why shall I pay for others which are not doing that?
You know what's interesting about Switzerland is you have this stuff, and literally a couple miles that way, you have a farmer with his cows
Yeah, but that's the beauty.
making cheese.
Yeah. You take your bike here, 20 minutes, you're out in the green. We're going to a place called Zurich. It's a hillside part of Zurich where a lot of wealthy people live. We are just here now at the University of Zurich.
Your education's pretty good, right?
Well, there is one university, it's called ETH. It's a technological high school. It belongs, I think, to the best top 10 universities in the world. Then we have a soldier, which is quite normal. He's probably going home from his army service. And that's quite interesting as well, a topic about Switzerland, the Swiss army. Every member of the Swiss army has his own gun at home.
Yeah, I learned that. the
So
other
there's
day.
always these talks, Switzerland is very well armed. Well, if you see it that way, yes, that's true. Since a couple of years, though, you're allowed to give your gun back when you're not in service. But until then, you had to take it home. So on a weekend, you're sitting in a train, suddenly you have 10 guys in a uniform with their guns, which is a total normal picture.
But you never have any shootings.
No, not in the amount like states or anything.
Does
like
it ever
that.
happen?
There was a big one, but that's many, many years ago in Parliament in the canton of Zurich. There was a farmer going in there and shot half of the Parliament.
Okay.
That was a big story. Otherwise, we don't have shootings on the streets or anything like that. That doesn't happen. Not that people are going out and have gang wars or anything. That just does not exist here. Already here you can see quite nice houses.
Oh, yeah. Old homes, huh? These are the
Yeah.
old mansions.
Absolutely.
So what do you think the U.S. could learn from Switzerland? I feel like every country can teach another country something.
Well, being liberal in a good way, which means accepting different views, be it political or...
So you guys are good at that?
I do believe so, yes. We still think or believe America's a free country, but we can see it's a boiling point and politics are quite, done in an
Tense.
extreme way, both ways.
Right.
That is a bit the Swiss thing, having the middle way, finding the middle way. Doesn't mean everybody's okay with it, but somehow works for the total
Okay.
people.
So the U.S. could take a note on that.
But being liberal, it's maybe the wrong word for it, but just accepting other ways of living. But again, in my thinking, that was possible in the States. The US is built from immigrants from Europe, a lot of it. So it is their history as well, somehow, isn't it?
For sure. I would say I'm all over the country doing video making, right? I would say the divide, when you're on the ground, I don't see it at all. Nobody cares, did you vote this person or that person, right? Now, when you look at the media, It looks like, you know, you even heard things like civil war is going to happen. Okay, anything can happen, but the tension is definitely drummed up and accelerated through the political discourse and through our media. And everything has become so black and white, you're on this team or that team,
Yeah.
that if this team is doing this thing, then you have to do the opposite at all costs. So there is the tension. But I would say everyday Americans, you go over there and you're going into a shop or something, people are going to say hi. No, there's none of that tension, I would say.
Maybe to listen to each other more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, finding common grounds is
Yeah.
maybe exactly that. That's what's missing.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, so this is one of the wealthier neighborhoods.
Yes.
But any
you
of these...
still have normal houses here as well with normal apartments.
All right, that's interesting.
But next to it, there is a...
But that's in the multi-millions, obviously.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, this is nice up here.
And of course, Gold Coast, there are huge villas as well on that. But you won't see them from outside. Because
They're all behind walls and...
well, not necessarily
hedges.
walls, but, you know, green stuff. So you just can't see it. Because
Okay.
they want to have their privacy, which I completely understand. It's something we don't have here at all is gated communities. We just don't know that. That's not...
You don't do that at all.
That doesn't exist.
But I've noticed there's actually a lot of cameras on the roads here in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's
Like
part of the new world, isn't
speed
it?
trap cameras or what?
Speed trap as well, but as well checking number plates and all that. I'm glad we have that in terms of, you know, criminal activities can be monitored better. On the other hand, I like my privacy and I don't want to have everybody or the state know what I'm doing, when I'm doing, what I'm doing.
Do you feel like the state has a strong grip on things here, or you have a lot? You said earlier you have a lot of freedom.
That's why you feel, it feels like having a lot of freedom. I mean, we know we are monitored here as well, of course. But it's not so obvious and not so brutal, maybe as in other countries. It's just, again, it's accepted. It is the way it is, and yeah.
So you have tall buildings down here. I didn't know that.
That's a bit more modern part of Zurich, also business. This is area now more working class people having normal jobs and not living the fancy life of downtown Zurich, which is a big part of this country as well.
If someone is really low on the financial pay scale, the government comes in and helps. How does that work?
No, as long as you work, they don't help. Once you lose your job, first of all, they'll help you to find a new job.
Okay.
And they'll pay you a certain amount of money to keep your standard of living. You might need to change the flat, not a town or a smaller flat or so, that's possible. But you will get help as long as you've been employed and paid into the system.
Okay, so this is the rougher side of Zurich, fair to say?
Yeah, you could say so. Yeah. It's not rough, but
Yeah,
it
obviously.
doesn't exist. But it's different. It's louder more, and just houses are not as luxurious, not as big. Still nice places.
Okay, but this is about as rough as it gets.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
That's something to be proud of, fair to say.
Yeah, you could see it that way. For Switzerland, it's quite normal. Doesn't mean people are not happy here. In my younger days, I used to live in these places as well, which was totally fine. There's maybe more life even, more diversity of life in these places.
Right. More activity.
Yeah, in a different way, without spending a lot of money, and people maybe are a bit closer to each other.
This is your little bit of Eastern Europe, you were saying?
There's more blocks, and
And only in Switzerland would you have a cornfield right here outside
Yeah.
of the city, right? Like, that is such expensive real estate, this field.
everything.
This farmer is sitting on a gold mine if it
Probably.
could be developed.
Yeah.
When you see a house like this one right here
Yeah.
to the left,
Yeah.
many families or a couple families living there, how does the whole housing thing work here?
Well, often they get it from their parents. Parents die, they take over the house.
Okay, because if you have your average job here, there's no way you're buying a house.
No. Well, if two work, have a good job both, yes.
70% rent here, right? 30% own?
I would say so, yeah. It's quite normal. It always used to be like that. Of course, less and less young families can afford to buy a house because, real estate prices are still going up. I think much more people would like to buy a house than actually can do it.
So that place over there,
Well, that's typical farm family living in there, having the fields, the farm.
and they can make a living off their fields and farm
Yes,
because they already own their house.
exactly, most probably. Might be owned parts by the bank through loans. Switzerland is quite special. If you have a loan for your house, so you call mortgage as well,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay it back during your life. You can
Okay.
keep it. That
Oh,
means
interesting. So what do you get, like a 50-year loan?
well, you just always redo it. You know, have a 10-year, 15, 20, whatever. Redo it, redo it, redo it. Of course, many people start to pay off and bring it to a level where it is not too much loan, but not killing it completely or not paying it back completely because, in a tax way, it is clever to have a bit of debt or loans.
Okay, so there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Someone dies, they still owe a lot of money on their home.
Yeah, I mean, say my dad would have a home,
Yeah.
4 million Swiss francs, he dies, he hasn't paid back the loans, I just take it over and do the same as he did, go on paying the loan, little interest on it, and keep it that way. And that can go on from generation to the next generation.
So you guys still have a lot of small farms here.
Yes.
Is that being threatened at all, or is it going okay?
Now it does change as well a bit, that bigger farms or companies are taking them over, but the state helps a lot to the farmers so they can compete with other farmers maybe from other countries, and we want to produce our own food, which is not possible in Switzerland for the whole population, but we try to do as much as we can.
And then this land in here, is this state land or is this private land, or what is this? When
No,
you
that's
see these
state
areas?
land. I mean, that belongs to maybe the little town down there or the next one,
Okay, yeah.
next place, and that's public. So everybody's allowed to go into the woods. You might have a farmer like in front of us who's taking care of the woods and do some maintenance or their own parts of it, but mostly it is public land.
Okay, so it's sort of a formula of small town where everything's condensed right next to each other, a church, few
Yeah.
stores, houses, farmer homes with fields outside,
Yeah,
and then areas like this,
yeah.
and then back to fields, farmers, back to small town, repeat. That's what it
Exactly.
looks like,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And all the towns, from what I've seen, pretty much look like in the same condition
Yeah.
for the most part.
I mean, there's got to be difference as well if you go towards the mountains, maybe little towns, more off-grid. It won't be as clean or as good infrastructure as here. Typical Swiss thing. On a Sunday, I'm not allowed to cut the grass in my garden because that's too noisy. That's too loud. Doesn't work. It's very important to have your recreation time and Sundays family or church or both, but no work if possible. This is Lake Hallwyl, gorgeous place. Again, on a Sunday you won't find a parking space because everybody is going to the lake.
God, it's so beautiful out here.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. I mean, that's the main thing. Switzerland is just such a beautiful country, definitely.
And what were you saying about the beauty of direct democracy?
That we all are very proud on that. It's a good thing, which means everybody can come up with an idea and collect enough people's signatures who are willing to sign their petition, however you want to call it, have the same idea, and then there will be a vote, be it in just the partner where we are, or even for the whole of Switzerland.
Yeah.
And everybody can do that. There was a guy many years ago, he thought he wants to have all the cows needs to keep their horns because he believed that's more healthy for the animal. So he did that, and it worked.
And the town voted on it.
I think the whole Switzerland voted for that. I'm not quite sure anymore
Okay.
who did, but he was able to do that.
Okay, and then what were you saying about digital ID?
Yeah, that's a topic I'm a bit not happy first time actually in Switzerland with
What-
that direct democracy. So the point is we had a vote about do we want to have an electronic ID for everybody. And so the whole country was voting and saying, no, we don't want that. Now the government still wants to do it.
So what do you mean, like digital driver's license,
Everything,
ID for
access
everything?
internet, it's not quite clear what you need it for. Of course, there are pros like, you know, safety for children in the internet and all that.
Yeah.
Other countries will require that. But the point is, the people of Switzerland said no to it, and the state or the government still wants to do it. And that's the first time I see something like that, huge impact, where the government wants to do something which the whole population said no. End of the day, you know, people pay with their tax money, the government, and the government, in my view, it's employees of the people.
So have they pushed through that policy yet?
No, it's in talks.
So that's a big issue in Switzerland right now?
Yeah, lots of talks about.
Were you guys locked down hard during the pandemic, like Italy and France?
Compared to other countries, no. And there was a very short time we had lockdowns, and not in the same way as other countries. And schools have been just closed very quickly. Month, 2.
Okay.
Maybe max.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You can see the snow in the Alps up near the clouds. What a beautiful view.
This is my country. This is what I love. This is Switzerland. Lakes,
cool.
forests, nature, a lot of it. And farmers. 150 years ago, there was nothing. There was just farmers. And it has developed, obviously.
And you were saying kids go to school in this town here.
Yep.
One town up is another school district. Over here is another one.
Exactly.
Up on the hill is another one.
Yep.
Down there, another one.
And each and one of these little places have their own school.
That's wild.
And church.
And then the Alps in the backdrop there.
Exactly. And on a nice day, you see the Alps. And
Wow.
it is, you know, I always used to say to kids, we live in a place where other people do holidays, like the hotel we're just standing here.
Yeah.
It is a hotel where people come and do, their vacation. And
Anything else you want to add?
go on, Peter, with your videos. I really love them. And,
Thank you.
These
you're
people like
part
you.
of them. You're part of them. No.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for giving us the cultural nuances, the deeper dive, because as an outsider, you never really know what's going on somewhere.
Well, of course, I've been showing you my Switzerland a bit, which doesn't mean it's the only
Of course.
truth about Switzerland. But it's a
Yes.
beautiful country, and we do have as well problems here. So that's maybe what people do not see or read in the newspapers. We're facing problems as well and fighting like other countries as well. And
Yeah, awesome. Good
thanks
stuff.
very much.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along on that journey. Thank you, Michael. Until the next one.